Welcome to the Scratching Pen Podcast. Hi, I am Beverly Jones-Durr, 47-time published author, publisher, and educator. And I am here to help you write your book. All those creative juices that are locked up in you that you're trying to create something tangible, we are here to help you. The show will include lots and lots of tips to help you get started writing, help you through your writing, and to help you publish your book. There will be other authors on the show and other educators who are here just for you. Your questions will be answered, and hopefully you will learn a whole lot and take away so much that I'll be reading your book soon. Sit back, put your seatbelt on, get your notepad ready, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scratching Pen Podcast, where our young writers ages, listen to this, 3 to 17. That's right, I said 3 to 17. Did I hear that? Are looking for tips and encouragement in their own writing, because we so far have 27 published authors in that age range. And they are all part of the program we have under our nonprofit, Every Child Has a Story, called the Writer's Vibe. So our Writer's Vibe community is paying attention today. As a matter of fact, they gave me 5 questions to ask. So share, subscribe, so that you will know when we are live again, and help us build our fan base, if you don't mind. Okay, so let's start. Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm always excited. I guess y'all know that. But today we have a fabulous author. Her name is Sunshine Rodgers. Isn't that a beautiful name? Hello, Sunshine. How are you?
Oh, hello. Thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. I'm excited too. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I am a full-time author. I've been an author for 7 years, and I've written 12 different books. So it's very exciting. And so I love inspiring readers with my stories, but I also love talking about the writing process and how anybody can put their pen to paper and write what they're passionate about. So I love being a part of this podcast. So absolutely.
You are the right author for us today, because everything you said you were about is what the kids are curious to hear about. So you want to move on let's do questions, and then we'll talk about your books.
Of course.
Okay, so question number 1. What is the first book that made you cry?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question. And there's been so many books throughout the years, right?
Yes.
So I think I get emotional over really anything. A good ending, a good storyline. So I would say to kind of some of the young adult listeners, I love Sarah Dessen, and she does these young adult series. And my favorite all-time book is The Truth About Forever. So if the young adult listeners, I would recommend Sarah Dessen. And The Truth About Forever is so good. It's very thick. It's a very thick story. But oh my goodness, I got so emotional every time. And every time I read it, I don't usually reread books, but every time I read it, oh my goodness, I get so emotional. So I definitely would recommend Sarah Dessen. Great writer. She inspires me. So absolutely.
That's awesome. Sounds like a really good book. I was writing it down so that I could get it myself.
It's so good. It's kind of a young adult story, so very easy to read, very down-to-earth story, but it's set in high school. right? So young adult, and she kind of
Mhm.
finds herself in the story as well as some light romance. But it's all about her journey into finding out who she is and what she wants in her life. And so amazing. So absolutely, it's a great story.
Awesome. Okay, so number two. Oh, and that first question was sent in by Lindy. And the second question is by Matthew. And Matthew wants to
Oh,
know, does writing exhaust or energize you, and why?
that is such a great question, Matthew. I'm so happy you sent that one in. So I would say for myself that writing does energize me because I love writing. I want to spend hours every day sitting, writing, thinking, imagining, creating. And to me, that puts a fire in my spirit, right? So I never want to see this as work. I always want to see writing and creating as something positive and something life affirming. So absolutely, I love to be energized by my passion, and I love it when I can create and write more stories. So that's such a great question.
I think Matthew had talked to me once before about when he finally gets into the groove and the vibe of writing, he just writes until he's
Yeah.
exhausted. I think he
Oh.
was wondering, am I a weird writer, or is somebody else out there like me?
Oh no, seriously, what I would recommend is taking some breaks, right? So you don't overexhaust yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So every hour I'll take a break from my writing to just relax a little bit and then go back to it. So yes, you don't want it to be a chore or work. You want to have those relaxing breaks in between.
Yeah.
Even if you found your groove, try to have that balance, right? Because you don't want to be burnt out. You want to be able to have that break.
That is really,
Yeah.
really good. Matthew, I hope you heard us. Remember, Miss Bev mentioned that to you before, so now you have confirmation.
That's so funny. Absolutely,
Okay.
Matthew. Absolutely.
This one is from Micah, and Micah wants to know, have you ever gotten writer's block?
Oh, goodness. So absolutely, right? Every single person, I think, who is creating something from a blank piece of paper, I know for myself, I get writer's block. Of course I do. And especially when I'm writing the first draft, meaning especially when I'm first starting out and I'm not quite sure where the story is going, and I'm not quite sure who my characters are yet. I will definitely, just going back to taking a break, I will sometimes just hit a wall. And when that happens, I don't freak out. I just say, okay, I'm going to save my work and then maybe take a little walk or maybe go somewhere and see if that inspiration comes to me. And maybe I'll get a good night's rest. And then the next morning I'll have an idea of how to progress the story. So I never think of it as, oh no, I'm stuck and I'm worried I can't create again. Absolutely not. We all hit that wall. We all have a moment where we're not quite sure what to write, but that's okay because it's part of the process, right? And we never want to let that process scare us. We want to just understand that this is a journey and we need to take it one step at a time. And then that story will just come to us. The ideas will come to us in time. But absolutely, I have hit writer's block. Yes.
Yeah, that was great. Great answer, Sunshine. I love that. Okay, so
Yeah.
Renee wants to know, do you try to be more original in your writing? I know that's a deep question.
Yeah. So the question is, Renee, do I try to be original or do I write what the audience wants? Is that correct?
Yeah,
is that my correct?
It.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I agree. That is a deep question. That is very such a provocative question, right? Like it makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer would be that honestly for me, and this is just Sunshine talking, for myself, I like to write something that inspires myself and something that I'm passionate about. So sometimes I don't write for other people. And I know that sounds bad, but if I write something, I have to love it. It has to speak to me. The message has to be clear. It has to be inspiring. It has to really, the content really has to make me emotional. It has to touch my spirit before it can touch anyone else, before it can speak to anyone else, before it can inspire anyone else. So to me, I like creating something that is passionate for myself, hoping that that passion will fly off the pages and will inspire my readers. But as we know, because we're all readers, we all love to read books. As you know, some books just don't connect with people, and that's okay, because you find the books that do connect with you. You find those authors that you connect with. And so I'm hoping that those readers that connect with my work, they know my voice, they know my messages, and they're inspired by the content, right? But I'm writing my passion first, and then hopefully readers will be inspired by it. So hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully.
That is exactly the way Brene is. She writes her passion.
Yeah.
She writes
right.
for the one group of people who are waiting to hear her say words that they can't figure out. She wants to be their voice. And I know she got into a conversation in the group about you have to write what's popular. And she was like, no, I have to write what's in me.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That's exactly the way she feels. She feels the same way, and so do I. See, that's confirmation.
Right. Oh, absolutely. No, please do not write to be popular. Please write because you have something to say and you want your voice to be heard and you want to inspire your reader. Absolutely. That's success right there as a writer.
Okay. Gerald and I both want to know, who is your favorite writer and why?
Okay. Of all time. Yes, so I mentioned Sarah Dessen, and I love her works. But of all time, my favorite is C.S. Lewis. And I don't know if, it's more kind of an older, well, actually, no, C.S. Lewis wrote Narnia. So there we go. We have every age range there with C.S. Lewis. But I love his work. And I actually did not read the Narnia series until I was older. So I actually enjoy his nonfiction work, and he has some darker fiction as well. And he has just fiction novels that are more to an older audience. But I love that he can write to a younger audience and to an older audience and still inspire his readers. So my goodness, C.S. Lewis, you're amazing. And I love also that he is and was so passionate about his faith, and he's so creative in his work. And my all-time favorite book written by C.S. Lewis is The Screwtape Letters. And it's a fiction novel told from a demon's point of view. So a little bit dark there, and for an older audience, of course. But I just love his symbolism, his allegories, his prose. He's amazing.
I agree with you. I like him too. So, Miss Sunshine, we have gotten to the portion of the show where we want to hear about your books. I understand you said you've written like 12 books, and that you are a full-time writer. Please explain all of that to the kids, because some of them don't realize what that looks like.
Oh my goodness, of course. Well, yes, I have written 12 different books. One came out recently. It was released back in September, and it's called Be the Sunshine. So that is my newest nonfiction book. And it's a little bit about my story, right? It's a little bit about my author career and how to stay positive and how to shout goodness and bring positivity and be a light in your community. So such a nonfiction work, and talk about a voice, right? It's just filled with Sunshine's nuggets of information to how to be that positive light out. And so Be the Sunshine is now available. But yes, I've written several books. I've written nonfiction, and fiction. I've written children's books. So absolutely. And I have my newest book will be released in spring of 2023. So I usually have about 2 to 3 new releases every year. And I'm constantly on book tours, constantly on book signings, constantly doing podcast interviews and for magazines and radio. And so it's such an exciting life. But again, I've been doing this for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So you just start off with one book and then another and then another. And I didn't start off with a big fan base or anything. I had like 0 followers on social media. Yes, 0. But I just kept writing. And then the readers came, and then I got more and more popularity. And then I had a breakout book. It was my fourth book. It was a fiction novel. And so when you just gain popularity in time. And then now 7 years later, right now I'm full time in this. I signed with an independent publisher. And so there's also different outlets, because if you're a full-time author, you also can monetize your work, meaning that now I have tons of social media followers. So I can, I'm a blogger, I'm an entrepreneur. You can have different opportunities that present themselves to you in that field. But I never want to stop writing. Writing comes first. So any opportunity that I have just feeds into my author career and the success thereof. So yes, I'm constantly writing, constantly producing new work. I also write a weekly blog on my website. I also write emails to my readers every week. I'm constantly creating new content, constantly finding ways to inspire my readers. So it's been an amazing journey, and I'm so excited to be on this path. This is exactly what I want to do with my life, and I'm happy to say it's been very blissful, very, very joyful to be here. So
we were lucky because you have a lot on your plate, but you made time for us and our little readers and our new writers, and we want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. And those were such good questions for everyone who submitted a question. And I absolutely loved being with you today on the podcast. It was so amazing to hear from these questions and to spend some time with you today. So thank you so much again.
Well, thank you too. And little people out there and their parents who are paying attention and listening and taking notes. I told you this was going to be a good one. Always know. Okay. We're going to end this one today, but let me tell you, stay tuned, subscribe, so you can see who's coming up next. We're going to dig and dig and circle the world and find some fabulous authors to pour life into you and your new books. Until next time, bye. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Scratching Pen Podcast. Were you motivated? Did you pick up a few tips? I certainly hope so. Subscribe to the Scratching Pen Podcast so that you'll be notified the next time we launch an episode. And wherever it is that you're able to see the Scratching Pen Podcast, leave us a message. Tell us how we're doing. And share with your friends. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes and amazing guests. Until next